Raonic just keeps that tape to mentally solidify his position for the confidence it gives him. Well, it is the final ATP World Tour 500 event, the Regions Morgan Keegan Championships. It's all on the line for the 4-seed Milos Raonic as he's back to the final for a second straight year, seeking his 4th career title. Or will the veteran Austrian Jürgen Melzer pick up his 4th title and take out his 3rd successive seed here at the Racket Club of Memphis? Happy to be with you for this final as the 2nd ATP World Tour 500 event of the year is decided. In Rotterdam, Roger Federer got the better of Juan Martín del Potro for the first title of the 11 events over the calendar season that are earmarked for 500 ranking points to the champion. Jürgen Melzer, showing some confidence in his return, won the toss. He has elected to receive. It'll be Raonic starting the championship from Memphis.
Tennis players are very superstitious, extremely superstitious, and Melzer won the toss against Isner in their encounter, elected to receive, and what did he do?
He promptly broke Isner in the first game.
Right away.
And he broke him in the final game of the set, and that set the tone for that quarterfinal. Isner was never able to recover. Well, the ace, so common in Raonic's game, he leads the ATP Tour, came in with 190 to his credit. He just keeps adding to that total, and he is leader in 3 other very important statistics on the men's tour, other than just aces. Service games won, first serve points won, and break points saved. He is the best in men's tennis in those service categories.
I'm sure there's a little bit of a subtext that goes into this match today for Milos Raonic because of the fact he reached the final here last year, and he's had to wait 1 full year with that hangover to get back to try and do it the right way. Today's his opportunity. It's hard to say it's a hangover when you've got to the finals, but I'll tell you what, for the great players, just getting to the finals isn't good enough.
And the way he lost last year, unwittingly, one of the biggest YouTube moments in 2011, as he was on the tail end of Andy Roddick's miraculous shot on match point.
And a lot of people believe that he actually outplayed Roddick in that match. But the question was, did he really believe he should win it?
It was on this very end where Raonic is serving that Andy Roddick ran across the court and dove like Superman, stuck his racket out, and had a passing shot that resulted in the Americans' victory for the 3rd time here in Memphis.
You just look at the way he mixes up the serve so beautifully. It's so much variety. If you're trying to return it, you just don't quite know what's going to be coming at you.
There's the return.
How good was that? And he read it. He picked it early. And you see with Melzer, when he returns serve, he doesn't have much backswing. It's all forward. Just takes it way in front. And you have to have really good eyes to be able to do that.
And not only have the eyes to keep up with it, but then direct it so deep at the feet of the 6'5" Raonic. But his 60-ace tournament, or ace, if it stands, we'll see, because Melzer doesn't believe that was worthy of being added to the statistic. And he's got such good eyes, he saw it correctly. The challenge will overturn the ace.
He's seeing that ball like a grapefruit. Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes when you have guys that take your second serve way inside the baseline and they just tee off on it, it puts a little bit of doubt into your mind. I know Peter Lebedev, the tournament director, thought that Melzer possessed the type of return that could actually give him a great opportunity to win this match today. Nothing you can do on that, though.
There is ace number 68 for the tournament to lead all players as he ratchets that up at 144 miles per hour. That is the second fastest serve of the week that Raonic possessed at 145 in his quarterfinal match. And another hold, which has been commonplace for Milos Raonic this year. That now makes it 187 holds of serve in 194 service games.
Well, what makes him so good is his ability to mix it up. And even though Melzer hit some wonderful returns there, and you saw the double fault coming off of one of those winners, the young man's just not really fazed very much by too much that goes on out there. He realizes when he's got those balls in his hand, he controls the outcome on his serve, and he's able to not only serve big up the tee, out wide, he can slice it, he can kick it. He possesses all of the dimension that you need to be a great server.
And not phased either is Melzer, what he's been able to do this week. Currently ranked 38th in the world, as we showed you on his biographical pages. That's 30 spots lower than his career high.
59.
He will move up to an estimated spot of 28 in the world by reaching the final. Could get to number 22 if he wins the title, but he is moving in the right direction, trying to get back inside the top 20, which would be so advantageous as you start to look ahead to the schedule coming up, the Masters 1000s, particularly in Indian Wells and Miami.
And Kevin, just to give a little bit more enforcement to what you're saying, back in 2010, Melzer was one of the only guys who challenged for year-end championship singles and doubles. He finished just outside of the top 10, and he was very close to making it there. And then he also was the Wimbledon doubles champion with Philip Petchner, so they qualified for the doubles. You don't really see that in today's game, where you have one guy who's succeeding in both singles and doubles.
Now there's the inside-out forehand that we will keep an eye on, because Raonic, that has become, other than the serve, his biggest weapon.
Yeah, it's a massive strength that he possesses, and you see how he really guards against the backhand side. He's so adept at running around it.
Produces a 99-mile-an-hour winner. Wow. Oh, the talk about Raonic's serve. How about Melzer? No problem, just one blemish as he gets the scoreboard to 1-all.
You make a really good point. We have been giving all the kudos to the Raonic serve, but that's not chopped liver coming off of the racket of Jürgen Melzer. He has a complete, solid game, and he has served exceptionally well throughout this week in Memphis.
See if the first serve of Milos Raonic can improve from 3 of 8 in his opening game. That's the one area that when he wants to be so particular in dictating play, that first serve so important in his game, but he has really worked on trying to make that second serve just as potent.
And you'll see from this second serve, there's very little drop-off between the first and the second serve, which is highly unusual for any tennis player. I mean, that second serve was pulling away from Melzer. It was kicking high. To me, you really can't relax at all when Raonic misses the first serve, because the second one is almost as good.
And Melzer, standing at 6 feet tall, almost had that ball kick up over his head. That creates difficulties on the return of that second offering. But doesn't even get a look at a second serve as a third ace sails past.
Just putting the hammer down, 139, straight up the tee.
We're only through 3 games, and in this indoor stadium, we're already seeing fireworks. A 4th ace from Raonic. He's out in front, 2-1 here in Memphis.
Tennis fans, be sure to get your official region's Morgan Keegan Championships at Memphis International Merchandise.
That's a pretty simple game plan, isn't it? You know what you do best. You know what you have to do to win. And if you can execute, you've got to like your chances.
Yeah, just that easy motion, too, those free points, and just the confidence that that can really restore right in the opening stages of a match. It's so important.
I think when you talk about easy motion, that's sort of what gets my juices going, because you see a lot of people, they're always seeming to force it. Lots of muscling, and it's just not really going through very simply. It makes it so complicated. Serving's not complicated. Look at the greatest servers. They all sort of tend to have that fluidity, that easy-going motion.
Well, he struggled a bit in his opening service game, did Milos Raonic, taken to deuce, but no problems as he holds it love for a 2-1 lead here in this opening set.
And for those of you at home that are saying, I want to serve like Milos Raonic, what do you have to do? Well, just look and see how easy he makes it look. It's just fluid. There's no additional muscle. It's just very, very smooth and working together.
Seats quickly, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Melzer serving for the 2nd time, just dropped 1 point in his opening service game as he tries to keep pace with the powerhouse that is the 4 seed, Milos Raonic. Talked about Melzer having difficulty in finishing out 2011, going 5-9 to end the year, but he did have a tremendous run back in April of last year, which helped him get to his career high ranking of 8th in the world. It was at the Masters 1000 event in Monte Carlo.
Now, Melzer's one of those players we talk about, what a complete player he is, but if you also look at results, he's good on all surfaces.
Yeah, at that clay court event, he took on Nicholas Almagro in the round of 16, who had the fantastic run through the Golden Swing, the tournaments in South America, culminate in Acapulco. And then in the quarterfinals, he took on Roger Federer and won 6-4, 6-4. Without question, his biggest result of the year, but he might not have had a lot left when he took on David Ferrer in the semifinals. It was a straight set win for the Spaniard. But it just shows how Melzer can go from hard court to clay court. He really is a man for all surfaces.
And then you throw him into the doubles. He's the reigning U.S. Open doubles champion with Phil Petchner, and 2 years ago, Wimbledon. And that's why all-court tennis, transition tennis, having the ability to move forward when he sees a ball that's floating softly over the net. You don't see a whole lot of guys having the ability to do that these days. Look how easy he makes it, just cutting through with the backhand volley.
Late call, called long.
42.
3rd point on serve lost for Melzer. And continuing in the vein of how great he can be on clay courts, don't forget 2 years ago at Roland Garros, the job he did against Novak Djokovic in the quarterfinals before losing to Rafael Nadal. His best career result at a major.
Love that play, a little SMV, or for those who don't know, serve and volley.
And he has held his own through 4 games. We are even at 2-all.
We talk about the fact that Raonic is able to mix up the serve and show all kinds of variety. How about Melzer, what he's able to do? Mixing it up, maybe not serving it quite as quickly or as hard, but giving you different looks, never letting you get into a rhythm on his serve.
Melzer will give the long look and elect not to challenge. It'll go in as another ace for Raonic. He is approaching 70 for the tournament and 260 on the year, and wise not to challenge. Replay showed that it did catch the outside of the line, as shown to the fans.
I know that we always talk about the quality of John Isner's serve and how great it is, no doubt about it. For me, what makes Raonic's serve as good, if not better, is the fact there's a little bit more variety. Mixes it up, can go flat ball, can go tee, but also has that little slider. So I think it's even harder to return Raonic's serve, especially off the second ball. And he hasn't lost 1 point yet, Raonic, when he's been able to get the first serve in.
And since deuce in that opening service game to begin the match, he has won 9 straight points. So he's found his rhythm, and Melzer's not able to read that serve as easy as it seemed he was going to do when he got to deuce in that first game. It's just that first serve percentage, he's got to get up a little bit higher, but when he does get it in, he's been perfect. It remains perfect for the second straight service game. That's in a 3-2 lead as he seeks a 4th career title. Milos Raonic out in front.
Tower Ventures services the telecommunications industry with the construction, management, and marketing of...
A lot of pressure on Melzer when he's serving second in a set, because if he's not able to earn a break of serve, he's always going to feel that additional burden of having to hold his own serve. But I'll tell you what, he's handled the pressure so well this week, I don't think he's really that concerned about that. I think he feels if he just sticks to his game plan, sticks to his skill set, which is right now the serve starting everything off, I think he feels relatively comfortable sitting in that seat and getting up and getting ready to just continue.
Be a long day for Jurgen Melzer, but he's happy to just ride the wave, see how things fare for him here in Memphis. But he's not one to panic. He's got a lot of confidence in his game, rightfully so. But he has been able to get a sniff at Raonic's serve since taking the opening game to deuce. 10 straight points for the Thornhill, Canada native. So Raonic has won 10 straight service points, but Melzer hasn't really been threatened, only losing 3 points on serve as he looks to extend this opening set to 3-all.
Just showing a few more things out of the tool belt is Jurgen Melzer. Large variety of shots that he can play. And when you're as confident as he is with all the wins he's had this week, he just feels pretty much he can do anything at any time, at least on his own serve.
30.
And remember, he's pretty much powerless over what's coming to him when Raonic is serving. But on his own serve, that's where he takes control. That's where he feels he can do anything he wants. And that's why it's critical that he really doesn't lose focus on his own serve, because as long as he takes care of business on his own serve, the Austrian has an opportunity to get into a tie break, and anything can happen at that point. That's when there's a little bit more pressure. You start to think about the individual points, and Melzer probably would like his chances.
40-50.
First 6 games are split evenly as Melzer gets the hold. Well, congratulations are in order. Already a title decided here today. The top seeds and defending champions, Max Mirny and Daniel Nestor. Champions 2012 Regent Morgan Keegan Championships doubles titleists. They won 4-6, 7-5, 10-7 versus the new team of Ivan Dodig, Marcello Mello. And it is the 6th title for the pairings, currently ranked 3rd in the world, Mirny and Nestor. So Canada already represented well here this season at the Memphis ATP World Tour 500 event. Daniel Nestor on the board.
He can serve pretty well too.
He's got a pretty,
for a 40-year-old,
pretty well-rounded game.
Pitcher with a rubber arm.
Look at the positioning of Melzer, just kind of moving, playing a little cat and mouse with Raonic, giving him a different look. Now he's moved over a little more traditional to the forehand side. Another example of that ball just jumping up, Melzer's difficulty on the return. So the easy motion, Doug, of Milos Raonic and the power that he possesses amongst the game's players now. How do you rank his serve amongst all the other players on tour?
I would put him in the first position. I really would, and it's because of, as you said, the easy motion, you can't read it, and the variety that he possesses. He can do it all. And I think it was Jack Kramer who said, you're only as good as your second serve. Well, Raonic, I'll tell you what, his second serve is amazing. So that's what allows him to go for even more on the first serve, because he has so much confidence when he hits the second one.
Both have settled into a nice rhythm. The server has won 12 of the last 14 points, and Raonic gets his second, make it his 3rd consecutive hold at love.
Tennis fans, be sure to stop by the Racket Club of Memphis display in the village to pick up your membership information. The Racket Club of Memphis, 765-4400.
Well, he's come out sticking to his game plan, which means being very precise on his own serve, not allowing Melzer to have many looks, and hoping that he'll just get 1 or 2 chances, and that's all he'll need to get a break, and he should be able to make the most of that. But right now, Melzer's been able to stand up tall on his own serve.
That's been a server's duel. Milos Raonic has converted 12 straight service points, but he hasn't been able to shake Jürgen Melzer to this point. He picks up an ace of his own, his first of the day, but he has impressed as well, losing just 4 points on serve to this point.
Yeah, the Raonic serve is in your face. There's no way to deny how great it is. When Melzer's serving, you almost take it for granted because it's not the same level of Raonic, but I'll tell you what, it's been equally as effective to this point, giving away nothing.
really discussed as of yet, Doug, is the left-handed nature of Melzer's game and how that might give Raonic a bit of a different look.
Yeah, well, normally I would make a little bit more out of that, but Melzer isn't one of those guys who really plays a whole lot like a lefty. Yeah, his serve possesses that left-handed spin, which is natural, but overall, more of a flat type of a player. But I do think that Melzer has really worked on that serve, and he does seem to be able to move it around a little bit more than he used to in the second serve. Has been showing us that it can move into someone's body or even kick away from them. Let's see it right here. We'll get a look. See if Raonic actually gets a good cut at it or if he's just fighting it off.
Now this is where Melzer can ill afford to get shaky on his service game. A couple of errors has allowed Raonic to hang around a bit in this 8th game. Raonic has won 14 straight service points. He's on a tremendous roll. A break here would be devastating for the Austrian. And he wraps things up nicely with his second ace to prevent there being any further threat.
And there's that added dimension. Raonic is looking for maybe the slider wide. They call it the can opener, and all of a sudden Melzer just hits the flatty right up the tee. Flat and solid. Again, Melzer getting a look at a second serve, but just not really being able to do a whole lot with it. You drop the ball that short against Raonic, he's going to make you pay 9 times out of 10. And that one was actually a slider. It had a lot of spin on it. He came around the outside of the ball. The speed was about 122, but still no way for Melzer to get a beat on it. I mean, that's just demoralizing for having to return that. And so, nothing against the great John Isner's serve, or even Roger Federer, or any of the top players, Thomas Berdych. But this guy's serve, to me, whew, I'll take it.
Aces 8, 9, and 10 give him his 4th consecutive hold at love, and he is in the zone. Milos Raonic takes 5 of the first 9 games.
Corona Extra, the official beer of the ATP World Tour and the region's Morgan Canyon Championships, invites you to relax responsibly with a refreshing Corona Extra or Corona Light. Corona.
Well, he's certainly not having any jitters being in the final, is he? He's doing exactly what you would have expected and what we've seen him do throughout the entire week.
Well, you remember when he got to the final last year, as you mentioned, a lot of people who watched that match, ourselves included, thought that Raonic had actually outplayed Roddick. So he has the confidence of being here. It's not as though he's in virgin territory, which could give him those jitters. He really is picking up where he left off, and this has been a magnificent performance to this juncture.
Sometimes you look at Raonic and you wonder, has he grown too fast? Has he actually outgrown parts of his body? You see how long those legs are and how developed they are, and you look at him from the waist up, he just seems like a young kid. He's grown into his body, there's no doubt about it.
Bit of pressure applied to Jürgen Melzer of Austria as he has to keep pace with Milos Raonic, who is on a tremendous tear.
That's a shame because Raonic played such great defense to get himself back in that point.
Raonic has won 18 straight service points, and Melzer has not been able to get a sniff since the opening game, so he's had to do the work on his end and hold serve to keep up.
Ooh, that was sloppy. Yeah, well, as we said, he's got to be able to just focus in on his own deal, because when Raonic makes the first serve, he's won 15 of 15. Melzer just has to take care of business right now on his own serve. There's not much he can do against Raonic's serve at this point.
Well, you have to like his moxie and his confidence in his return game. When he won the coin toss, he elected to receive first, which is a gamble in some people's minds, because now he has the pressure on himself.
Always serving in second position. Uh-oh. So that wasn't an easy volley, but you saw a little bit of a hesitation, and now a half chance for Raonic.
This is the first time in the entire match, now this 10th game, that the returner has had any sort of lead in this match.
And there was hesitation there. You hesitate as a tennis player, typically you're going to lose the point. That's really solid play. Lots of pressure, 15-30 down on your own serve against someone who you know you're going to get very few looks against.
30 all.
Sensational play from Melzer. Really composing himself, not buckling to the pressure.
40-30.
That's the shot that he's really improved. We're used to seeing him hit the inside-out forehand, but during the last couple days in big matches on big points, he's been able to take that forehand and go up the line, which gives you, as an opponent, a lot more to have to worry about.
First time Melzer has been taken to deuce in this match. Raonic just looking for that opening. He really has elevated his return game over 2012, has Raonic.
Good offensive play from Melzer, not holding back, realizing that if he gets tentative, he could be in trouble, and he stays aggressive. That's what you like to see from guys when they're under pressure, that they continue to move forward and go for their shots.
In 2011, Raonic was breaking opponents just around 25% of the time, and he's elevated that, working hard with Galablanco, up to just around 30% in 2012. For Melzer for 5 all. And let's look at how impressive Milos Raonic has been when serving in this event.
Well, when he makes the first serve, he's virtually unbreakable. He's won 87% of those points when he makes the first serve. 76 of those are aces. And today, when he's made the first serve, he's won all 15 of the points. So you can see how accurate he is with the placement. And when he's making that first serve, it's almost a hopeless situation for any opponent.
Well, hopeless of yet for Melzer, because he's not been able to get a peek at the last 18 service points of Raonic. 18 consecutive points won as he looks to get to 6-5. He's held 45 of 46 service games this week here in Memphis and saved 7 of 8 break points. Just devastating for opponents this week.
Well, that's interesting. Melzer giving him a very strange look there. He took about 20 steps behind the baseline, moved well behind and to the side of the tram lines. And that's a different look. He's trying to play some mind games with the young Canadian right now.
Breaks up that 18 straight service points for Raonic and a bit of a lead. The first time Melzer's been able to secure that in this match. And just like that, so quickly, ace number 11.
Forget the mind games.
All.
Yeah, snuffed out. Raonic says, I'll have none of that. But I think Melzer will continue to try to get into the young kid's, into his head. And he's given him the tee, saying, if you can make it, it's yours. So now let's see what Melzer does. Standing way back again. Look at where he is compared to the wall and to the tram lines. Rarely do you see this. I've seen Nadal take steps back on a clay court, but nothing to that extent. Tell you what, got to look for ways to create opportunities, and that's exactly what the Austrian's doing. Now look what he's doing now, bouncing around like a boxer, moving to the center. I mean, all he's trying to do is get into the mind, get into the dome.
And it might be working. What's telling is watch Raonic go after this short ball. Generally, you don't see the demeanor where he's trying to overhit the ball. He does just what's necessary. We've seen all week long him play within himself, but maybe exerting a little of the pressure, feeling Melzer's mind games having an effect. You wouldn't expect as much. He hasn't been threatened, as we said. Raonic has yet to face a break point, but here is Melzer at 30 all.
And way back again and off to the side.
And look, there it is.
Look at this. He's gotten into the youngster's head just a little bit.
Pressing just a little bit much results in the forehand error, trying to exact too perfect a shot, and Melzer's gambit is working. The first break point of the match.
There it is, he's done it!
The break goes to the Austrian, and he is out in front. Only the second time this week that Raonic has lost serve. Melzer will serve for the opening set.
Incredibly, that's the first point that Raonic has lost in this set when he's made the first serve, and it came on a break point.
Yeah, what a run, and Melzer just doing what he had to do. What a great way to come out of the chair. Gets his hold, and he's already been thinking about what strategy, and he just gave so many different looks that Raonic suddenly got a little bit confounded.
You know what? He's playing within the rules. He's playing within the confines of the game as Melzer. He's doing what he's got to do. He wants to win this match, and he's got to shake it up somehow.
Jürgen Melzer has done the almost unthinkable this week in Memphis. He has broken Milos Raonic and will now serve for a one-set advantage in the championship match in Memphis, Tennessee. Jürgen Melzer has broken Milos Raonic for just the second time this week. That gives him the opportunity to serve for a one-set advantage. And he has come out with a specific strategy to try to shake up the 21-year-old, and it worked perfect in that 11th game.
And I think it's fantastic. He's playing within the confines of the rules. He's not doing anything wrong. There's all kinds of ways to try to find ways to win a match. Melzer wants to win this as much as Raonic does, but he's got to find a way to break the young guy's serve, and that's exactly what he did. It's not gamesmanship, it's just looking for avenues, looking for ways to break through. And you just try to get into the server's mind, you break up his rhythm, get him to lose his focus a little bit. And amazingly for Melzer, the break point that he had, he was able to win the very first point on the Raonic first serve. What a time for that.
Raonic had held serve at love the previous 4 games, 18 points in a row.
How good is that? Come on! Sensational! Raonic looks like he's in control here. It's a wonderful approach, nice and wide, but the lefty with some great angle around the outside of the ball just dips it. Athletic. You bet he likes it. That was a huge point in terms of momentum.
Oh, and the competition from Melzer, he elevates it even more. We talk so much about Raonic's serve. Melzer has lost just 7 points in this opening set. He gets himself to 40-15, and he has double set point.
Good return, nice and low, not going for too much. Still one more to play with. Wonderful contrast in style between these two.
And the exclamation point in the opening set. An ace out wide. Jürgen Melzer is halfway home to his 4th career title as he's out in front at the Regions Morgan Keegan Championships.
I just love to see a thinking man's tennis player. You're out there getting beat down by someone who's not giving you anything to look at on serve, and you somehow find a way to take a set and get the advantage. Raonic dominating in the ace category, but look at that first serve percentage, equal. And points won, well, you know what? Melzer's staying close. He's taking care of business on his own deal. And the one thing that stands out, the break point chance. Raonic had 0, Melzer making the most of his opportunity.
Perfect in that one shot that he had the look in that 11th game, and he made the most of it in 41 minutes. He is 1 set to the good as he seeks that 4th title. And for the 38th ranked player in the world, it has to feel amazing. See some of the nervous energy in the legs. That's just adrenaline flowing. He knows he's got a 1-set lead in his first ever meeting with Milos Raonic.
Well, if you're a Jürgen Melzer fan, you have to be pleased with what you saw in the opening set. You're going to applaud those efforts. Really started to think about what he had to do to get any opportunity whatsoever to get a look at Raonic's serve, and it worked. Taking different positions on the court, first and second serves got into the dome of Raonic, right into his head, and just when it seemed like there was no way he was going to break,
unfamiliar territory for Milos Raonic as he starts the 2nd set. He had won 19 consecutive sets going back to the start of the San Jose title defense he had last week.
And now it's just a question, as far as Melzer's concerned, of making this young man hit a lot of balls. He knows he's been able to fluster him a little bit. because he was flustered in that 5-all game. Serve was not as effective when Melzer was giving him the different looks from where he was standing to return. And right now, Kevin, to me, the advantage for Melzer is now he not only has it set to his advantage, but he's also got that confidence factor. A lot more pressure now on Raonic to have to get back into this match.
Well, he had 4 consecutive holds at love, and Raonic must have felt as though it was just easy. Stand up, hit the ball, move on, add a game to the scoreboard, please. But suddenly, it was the adjustments of Melzer. And, you know, the old adage, dance with the one who brung you, maybe stay with your strengths and your strategy. But suddenly Melzer realized, I've got to do something different. And it paid major dividends. And there's the uncertainty in the ground strokes that wasn't there early for Raonic. He's just committing more unforced errors, and Melzer just biding his time. Ball back in play. Let the Canadian be his own worst enemy.
Well, he guessed right, and he just couldn't execute it because of the pace of the Raonic forehand.
You know, Doug, all week long we've marveled and talked a lot about Raonic at 21 years of age, how remarkably poised he is. His composure never seems to panic, doesn't give a lot of expression on the court. Now, this will be a very trying moment for him, a test of his mettle to see how far he has matured in that regard.
Well, you know, we didn't see any expression from him in that 5-all game, but you know, internally it was eating him up because he did not play a solid Raonic type of service game. That time much better.
40-30.
Waited for that shot, didn't press it. You know, just because he doesn't show any expression doesn't mean he's not turning over and over inside. He was definitely thrown off in that 11th game he was serving, because we saw him miss some shots that he would normally make, and you could just sense that he felt pressured. High marks to the Austrian for getting into his head, though. That's massive. What an angle. Serving out of a tree. That trajectory, there's nothing you can do against it.
So Raonic on the board first as he gets the hold, though tested once again. It wasn't as easy as it had been early.
No, Melzer's making him think about what he's doing a lot more. And look at Melzer. You see on second serves, he's given him so many different looks. Yeah, first serves, he's sort of staying behind the baseline. But the second serves, he's waiting for so many of those shots. And he's deep in the corner, he's behind the tram lines, and he'll step in. So all these different types of looks, and it makes it very difficult for a server to keep his focus and to concentrate. Melzer has been so effective when he's decided to give Raonic some different looks. By the way, that last graphic we had a chance to look at, the Hawkeye review, is interesting because you only saw a few first serves there, those yellow balls. Well, the reason is because all those other first serves were aces or unreturned. So, you know, that's really not much Melzer can do with. And he's just playing with so much more confidence now. You get that break, you feel good about yourself, you win the first set, and just start to open up the shoulders and attack. And certainly for me right now, the pressure firmly on the shoulders of Raonic. He's the one who's going to have to make things happen here. We saw Melzer make a huge adjustment. Is Raonic going to make any adjustments?
No challenge from Melzer.
30-15.
Strolling to the net for another look. Yeah, it hasn't seemed as though Melzer, even from the very beginning, was ever really troubled by what was happening. Even when he went through those 4 games where he never got the ball really back in play to cause any problems for Raonic's serve, 4 straight holes at love, he was just biding his time till that 11th game. Just seemed to be waiting for a moment to spring that tactic.
Yeah, Kevin, that's a great point you make. I think he sort of was just laying back, almost like giving Raonic a false sense of security. And all along, Melzer knowing that he was going to do something at the business end of the first set.
Save that look until Raonic was least suspecting it, and then strike, and boy, did he. Just the 1 break chance, got in that 11th game, finds himself leading by a set. And remember, as Melzer holds for 1-all, he has yet to face the break point.
Yeah, I mean, 1 break point in the entire match. We talk about big-time tennis, final matches, semifinal matches. It typically comes down to 1 or 2 points. 1 point in that opening set.
Speaking of congratulations and finals today, 2 finals decided on the ATP World Tour. In Marseille earlier today, Martin Del Potro picked up his 10th career title, beating France's Michael Laudrup in straight sets. Del Potro will head to Dubai. He will not defend his title in Delray Beach next week as he heads off.
I have a feeling I know about the next result you're going to give. I think it's about a little ever-ready bunny, I think.
I'm not sure if that's a universal nickname for David Ferrer, but he is indeed champion in Buenos Aires. He got past Nicolas Almagro today, coming back from a set down. And for Ferrer, career title number 13 as he heads to Acapulco to defend his title of the last 2 years.
The pit bull. And as good as Almagro is, he cannot beat Ferrer in the big matches on the big stage. We've seen Melzer do this all week long. Get the serve back in play, and then the second shot is what makes him such a threat. That time, trying to guess where the serve was going was Melzer, and Raonic outguessing the Austrian.
Baker's dozen, 13 aces on the day.
And he's still only lost 1 point on first serve when he's made it, and that was to get broken. That shows how tough Melzer is mentally. Selective memory, doesn't worry about anything except that key point, that moment.
Let's see what Melzer has in store here. He waited a long time to spring his attack that 11th game in the opening set to get the break, and then served out the set. Now looking to strike early here in the second. Oh, tough serve out wide and kicking high to the backhand of Melzer.
Yeah, snuffed out beautifully at 30-all. You just have to say a half chance for Melzer. Only 107 miles per hour, but the ball is just moving so quickly, and the angle that this man's able to generate, it's remarkable. Look at Melzer stepping way back. tell you what makes what he's doing so remarkable, that being Melzer, is he's not used to returning serve from that far back. He typically likes to take the ball fairly close to the baseline, so he's having to make adjustments to his own game. And when you're hitting the ball from a different position in the court, it's not easy. It's not like he can just get his racket on it and throw it back. He's got to hit it from a much different position than he's used to playing from. And then it's hard to get the depth on the return. Oh, that's going to bother him. In control of that point, and that forehand getting away. That's a missed opportunity, because that would have given him a break point chance. He's just painting lines left and right. Forehands up the line, in between the baseline and the sideline, and now the backhand.
Deuce.
Look at the precision there. All you say there, Kevin, is too good. How good has Meltzer's backhand been this week, though, when he's in position to be able to take the ball up the line and hit screaming winners?
And the economical ground stroke, too, not pulling back too far. He's just using the short follow through and being very effective.
That's
not
pretty,
easy to be effective.
That's pretty effective
against another ace. 15 on the day as Milos Raonic puts himself in the lead, but he knows he's set down in the final in Memphis.
Morgan Keegan wants to know if you're looking to raise the caliber of your investment game. If so, then talk to Morgan Keegan. They know all.
Now, Doug, we talked about the results today. David Ferrer winning over Nicolas Almagro in Buenos Aires as the golden swing through South and Central America comes to a conclusion. 4 tournaments that are in succession, and Ferrer will be the top seed in Acapulco when play begins tomorrow. Ferrer beat Almagro, who is the 2 seed in Acapulco last year in the final. We
were fortunate enough to be doing that final, and Ferrer, you know, how can you not cheer for that guy out on the tennis court? 5'0" and always gives you 100%, and crowd favorite there. What a great event. Looking forward to doing it with you again, Kevin.
Indeed.
Young girl's a little punchy.
It's been quite a spectacle today as Jürgen Melzer has managed to do what very few have done all year long, and that is break the serve of Milos Raonic.
Yeah, I think he has flustered the 21-year-old Canadian to this point, but we're seeing Raonic just hang in there. He's still serving first in this set, and it was just the one break point that hurt him in the opening set. We'll see how quickly Raonic can recover from that, and if Melzer can keep his foot on the gas.
37th edition of the region's Morgan Keegan Championships at the Racket Club of Memphis. There have been 25 men who have won this title over the course of their career. The last player to do so that was left-handed was in 2005, Kenneth Carlsen. Now that is what is in front of Jürgen Melzer if he can hold on to this 1-set lead in 2012.
15 off.
Looking to become that 26th different champion. There have been some of the greatest in men's tennis that have won this prestigious ATP World Tour 500 event. Some of the names you might recognize: Borg, McEnroe, Connors, Edberg, Agassi, Sampras, Lendl.
Those guys were all sort of good at one point of their career.
These two trying to match those relatively unknowns in the course of the history of this event. There were also a couple of players that made surprising finishes here. We mentioned the left-hander from Denmark, Kenneth Carlsen. Forget Joachim Johansson in 2004, Steve Darcy in 2008.
Well, he's got to be careful now. 15-30. And Raonic just looking for a little bit of opportunity here to get right back in this match.
finish at the net as Melzer gets to 30 all.
What we're seeing today, Kevin, is on a lot of these critical points on Melzer's serve, he's not afraid to come forward. And we're seeing him exude some wonderful hands at the net. Good volley technique. How good was that?
It was remarkable, and it also gives Raonic his first chance to break Melzer's serve today.
Well, let's see how the Austrian stands up to this pressure. So far this week on break points, he's been really solid, coming in big. Missed that one by a country mile. That is just so good. Can you imagine that he would try a drop shot down break point? That's like a riverboat gambler.
He's been confident all match long in everything he's tried to produce. And this is just tremendous moxie on his part. And then to back it up, constructing the point well, break point saved.
But look at Raonic all over the first serve, getting a beat on it.
This is what we were talking about, Doug. How would the 21-year-old fare? Then he's down. You remember his last 8 matches hadn't dropped a set, had only lost serve a total of 2 times in 2 tournaments. And he's up against it, and he's looking to respond.
And that's again a little serve and volley, showing Raonic a different look. And you know inside that the young man's frustrated right now, even though he's not showing you anything. I don't want to be playing poker with him because, you know, he could bluff me and I'd be out in a heartbeat. Ooh, dangerous. If he's wrong, he's going to lose this point. There was hesitation not only by Raonic, but also by Melzer. Let's see how close it is.
Well, it looked like it was a bit just wide.
Yeah.
And you could see Milos was in perfect position, immediately signals out, and his challenge is confirmed.
Wonderful passing shot. Got there in plenty of time, made up his mind, picked a spot, and just let it go.
So the challenge wise, and then he's up to the task with the running backhand, and that sets up a 3rd break opportunity.
Swinging forehand drive volley on a break point makes it look so easy. Standing in no man's land, but you know what? You can hit those types of shots from that position. In my day, you were told to never do that.
Melzer just can't shake Raonic in this 4th game, as the 4 seed has his 4th attempt at a break of serve.
Yeah, he's unleashed some big forehands from the deuce side this game. Boy, would he love one right here. And there it is.
Raonic had to give a little bit of a different look, and he changed it up a bit as Melzer, confounded by the way to get through that 4th game, the running forehand, vaporizing it down the line for the passing shot, and that was a much-needed boost of confidence.
I just got the sense the forehand was so good on all those deuce points. When was he going to get a crack on game point, break point? And he made the most of it.
service.
The 16th ace. Not the fastest of the day, but perfect positioning as Raonic looks to advance his lead to 4-1. Remember, last year in his first appearance in Memphis, Milos Raonic reached the final, took on American Andy Roddick, who was a two-time champion here, and played a phenomenal match, but just came up short. Roddick in the draw this year, along with Sam Querrey, the only two former champions to be appearing at the region's Morgan Keegan Championships. They combined for the last three titles.
Kevin, you did that final match last year. How do you compare his performance today to that final last year?
It was more balanced in all facets of his game. His serve, backing his first serve up with his second serve, which has a little more pop and variety. But I think overall his movement, the footwork that he's worked on with Gallo Blanco over the course of this year, the 12 months since here, has just gotten him into great position, and he's a lot more confident when getting wide, as well as moving forward.
So you feel he's improved?
Oh, without question. I think in all aspects of his game.
Probably not as nervous coming into this final as well.
And remember, last year was seemingly to be his breakout year. He won his first title in San Jose, inside where the San Jose Sharks play, a Canadian in a hockey arena. He felt comfortable, but this was just his second final up against Roddick, who had already won twice here in Memphis. There you see Gallo Blanco, Raonic's coach, who's been so instrumental in the success. A 16-4 start last year, but then injuries befell him. He had a lot of problems being able to continue through the rest of the year. In fact, after going 16-4, he finished the rest of the year 15-15. But they're looking to improve the consistency and also keep him from the wear and tear and any sort of injuries that befell him last year.
Well, it wasn't the best drop shot. In fact, it wasn't even that well disguised, but just getting Raonic out of his comfort zone, getting him to move forward, is what Melzer wanted to do. And so, even though it wasn't the perfect play, it got the same result, didn't it?
Melzer looking to pressure once again. He got to deuce in the last service game of Raonic, hoping for a chance to break back.
Snuffed out. And I like a lot of times when Melzer uses the drop shot or uses the short angles, because to get these big young guys off the baseline really takes them out of their comfort zone. And even if it's not the best of shots, they're not that comfortable moving forward. They only want to do it on their own terms. But he's able to hold.
I mentioned Roddick and Querrey, the only former champs here in Memphis this week. Well, they're gone. We'll have a new champion in Memphis, Melzer or Raonic.
I think one of the things when you're playing against somebody who's 6'5", 6'6", 6'8", thinking of like a Kevin Anderson or a Sam Querrey or the Isners, these guys, as big as they are, they really don't like moving vertically up and down the tennis court. They're happy moving back and forth on the baseline, but vertical is something that they're not comfortable with, and that's why if you can keep them off balance, keep them guessing, and hit a few short balls to draw them in, even if it's not the best shot, for guys this tall, it's hard to get down to those low balls. It's hard to feel like they can hit the shot that they want to hit. So that's why mixing it up, a lot of variety off the racket of Melzer. In most cases, it's going to work.
Milos Raonic doing his part, gets a break and a 4-1 lead as he tries to come back from a set down. Territory he's been unfamiliar with over the course of the last 2 weeks. Best of 3 set format for this championship here in Memphis, Tennessee, and that certainly puts the pressure on the player who loses that opening set, as Melzer looking to try to strike quickly, but he's been unable to capitalize. Milos Raonic is the player enjoying a break of serve lead as Melzer serves 1-4.
15.
We talked about that coming into this final, that Milos Raonic over the course of his last 8 matches hadn't dropped a single set, both the title run in San Jose and the berth here in the final in Memphis. What does that pressure put after you're not unfamiliar with being a set down?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different way of having to deal with being in a tennis match, but you have to give credit where credit's due, and to Jürgen Melzer making the most of his opportunities out here. I mean, when you watch the first 8-10 games of the opening set, you'd be saying, well, how's he going to break serve? How's he going to actually take a set? And he found a way to get the job done.
49.
And I'm sure even if Melzer loses a set, he's going to like his chances in a 3rd set.
Handful of aces for the Austrian to this point. There spoils a potential hold at love, but no real damage done as of yet, because Melzer has, with that exception of that 4th game, served so well today. He just got a foul of field for a bit there, and Raonic was able to take the upper hand.
Yeah, I don't think he served such a poor game, Kevin, as much as Raonic just came up with some really big shot making. We saw Raonic be able to pull off the backhand on the dead run up the line, and then on the break point, the forehand on the dead run. So sometimes you just have to say, too good to your opponent, and say, I don't think you can continue to do it.
Indoor stadium court seats about 5,000 here at the Racket Club of Memphis, a private facility since 1974. Originally constructed in 1957, it has been the home of this ATP World Tour 500 event for the last 37 years, although it was in 2008 that the ATP World Tour said, all right, we're going to elevate your status.
Massive forehand. He's really got that going on right now.
500 ranking points to the champion here in Memphis since 2009, when Andy Roddick won that inaugural year as one of the 11 ATP World Tour 500 events. And those ranking points so important for the players as they come here.
Doesn't the University of Memphis tennis team also play here?
You are spot on. The men's and women's teams, nicknamed the Tigers, where tournament director Peter Lebedev's competed as he matriculated through the university.
He what?
Matriculated.
Okay, matriculated, okay. It's not like, it's like Metropolis or Superman or something like that. Well, I just went to USC, Kevin. Matriculated, there's way too many letters in that word.
I'm not going to use the University of Spelling or challenged.
Be careful. Yeah. Careful.
Peter Lebedev was a Memphis Tiger back in the 80s and has remained here, though he hails from the west coast of Australia, Perth to be exact, and he's done a terrific job in elevating and maintaining this tournament.
Well, here's a half chance for Melzer. He's not going away quietly.
30 on.
Now, Raonic held the opening service game in this set, dropping just 2 points, but now this is the 3rd consecutive time he's been taken to 30 all.
And now a look at a second ball. Let's see if he gives him a funny look. Will Melzer stand way back, close to the wall? Look, yeah, he's far back again. Wow.
30-40.
A little chink in the armor of Raonic.
Well, Raonic had saved 7 of 8 break points to get to the final. Melzer now with a second chance on the day for the break to get back on serve. It's the second serve in this set that Raonic has really struggled with, just 30%, 3 of 10. And when he gets that first serve in, you can see how devastating it can be. Saves break point for deuce. This is where Melzer's been able to exploit the vulnerability of that second serve.
Standing way over in the tram lines is the Austrian. And they got the double, so he knows he's getting into the head of Raonic, and so does Blanco. He sees what's going on here. This is youth versus experience. That's when you see a little bit of the craftiness of the wily veteran right there. He loves it.
The break back, we're on serve, and the Austrian already is set to the good. Likes his chances here in Memphis.
The West Clinic is a proud sponsor of the Hawkeye Instant Replay System. At the West Clinic, they're always keeping a close eye on you.
Now the wily veteran taking his chance as he sits down to rethink once again. Now no longer behind. Back on serve, and another opportunity to just give himself a shot at that fourth title that he seeks. Pair of games for Jürgen Melzer. Down 4-1, now in striking distance. A fourth career title, 2 of which have come indoors at his home event in Austria. Memphis, Tennessee, in the southwest corner of the state, just along the banks of the Mississippi River, at the Racket Club of Memphis. Home of the region's Morgan Keegan Championships, which Jürgen Melzer is trying to capture a 4th title. This indoor surface suits him well. 2 of his 3 previous titles, Doug, have come indoors. Granted, it was in his hometown of Vienna.
You just get the sense that Raonic is a little bit shaken right now.
Yeah, Melzer enjoying a lot of confidence and trying to exploit the vulnerability of the psyche of Milos Raonic right now, who's been broken twice. That's something that has been so infrequent this entire year. He's got to be rethinking his approach.
Yeah, this is a match of mind games right now.
I mean, remember, just 7 breaks of serve through the entirety of his first 16 matches, twice today.
And when have we seen Raonic go up a break in virtually any set and get broken back?
Yeah, nice way to get the hold at love. After having been broken 2 games ago, he's lost just 1 point on serve, and he evens the score here in the second.
Raonic right now just seems to me to be like somebody who's been shaken up, you know, a little bit wounded. I mean, even though you're not seeing a whole lot of expression from him outwardly, you just get the sense by how he's moving, and the fact he wasn't able to get many balls in play that last game. This man has a mission in front of him.
I think one of the things you have to really appreciate about what Melzer's done this week, Doug, is that he's used a game plan. It's one thing to be physical and use your abilities on the court, but off the court, he came in against the top seed John Isner, had a perfect game plan to just neutralize the American serve, He's done so once again here today against Raonic. And he's just traveling with a trainer, no coach with him. So for all intents and purposes, obviously they may be discussing things, but this is something that Melzer has brought on himself.
Maybe he's a duly fit trainer.
Yeah, primarily a physio. At least that's the word around the grounds for Melzer, which is keeping him in shape.
Well, Melzer's 30. He pretty much knows how to play this game by now. Knows what's required. Oh my gosh, he missed it.
He's probably surprised that Raonic got to that stab forehand volley. I mean, the wingspan kept this ball alive.
40 love.
And the quick recovery for Melzer did not happen, and it's 40 love. Back-to-back holds at love after a pair of breaks. Milos Raonic puts his nose back out in front. He's trying to come back from a set down. Inside the big house at the Racket Club of Memphis, as Melzer tries to hold on to his one-set advantage, though things have not gone easily here in the second set. But credit him after falling behind 4-1 with his ability to pursue and keep it close here in the second frame. A hold by Milos Raonic, the 4 seed of Canada, ends a run of 3 straight games for Jürgen Melzer, who's looking to even the tally at 5-all and hold on to his 1-set lead. Melzer in his 11th career ATP World Tour final, 3 times champion. First in Bucharest back in 2006. Won back-to-back titles in his hometown tournament in Vienna in 2009-2010. Somewhat of a similar circumstance to what he's playing here in Memphis, but a bit shaky here as his forehand is called wide, and he throws up his hand in disgust for the challenge, but it doesn't look like he believes it as he walks away, set to serve from the deuce side. And you can see why he was not confident in that challenge.
Melzer with 2 challenges.
Half chance for Raonic to force a 3rd set at love 30.
$15.30. Out. Melzer charging the call, left far sideline, ball is called out.
Again, not a lot of confidence from Melzer in this challenge. He took his time. It was called out from the chair. And we'll have another challenge for the Austrian. And once again, he'll be disappointed.
It's just too good. I mean, I really like the way But Raonic set up that point. He had a very difficult second serve to play against, but he just laid it back nice and deep that allowed him to get into the point. But there's no response for that. That's just too good. At 21, you don't see Raonic making too many mistakes in judgment out on the tennis court. Ooh.
Just the second double fault of the match for Melzer, and it offers Raonic set point.
Ooh, both guys a little bit tight out there. Sense the tension in the arm. Not in a whole lot of danger here. He just misses it. Oh. We know how that feels. Melzer dying for a first serve. You just get the sense, you just feel the tension in the air here. Melzer has taken a lot of pace off the serve. He was banging serves up the tee before, 120, 125. Now he's just starting to spin serves in. But it works to his advantage. Wow.
Testy moments as he faces down a break point, but survives the challenge. And we are at 5-all as it gets down to the business end of the second set as Milos Raonic attempts to come back from a set down and keep his hopes of a fourth career title alive. Remember, it was the 11th game of the opening set that Melzer was able to exploit some weaknesses in Raonic's serve after he had won 18 straight points. That was the difference in that opening frame. Got the break and served out the set. He's loving the prospect. Maybe a break here. Try to serve for the match and get out of this in straight sets.
You know, this man's going to stand in his way. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that.
30 down.
And if he serves like that, he'll like his chances. 135.
It's quite the preventive measure, as he has now reached 20 aces on the day. And since being broken at 4-2, Raonic hasn't lost a point on serve. So he puts himself out in the lead and applies a bit of pressure on Melzer to stay in this set.
Regions is honored to bring you world-class tennis competition right here in the heart of Memphis. And they're even more pleased to offer you the control.
Well, that's a good response when you've had a set point and surrendered it. You're always wondering if it's going to lag in your mind. You're going to be thinking about what could have been. 21-year-old responded like nothing had happened. Throwing in some big heat.
fans in attendance at the Racket Club of Memphis. It'll go back to being a private facility come Monday, but it has been all access for this ATP World Tour 500 event. 37th edition of the region's Morgan Keegan Championships. Raonic asked the chair umpire during the sit-down if this would be a change in balls to see if there would be a fresh can open for Jürgen Melzer as he serves. He was told no.
15 balls.
And Melzer says, I don't need new balls.
Doesn't matter to Melzer. You know, this match, for a great deal of it after the first set, I sort of felt that Raonic was a little bit wounded. And I think he's responded nicely. And it's going to come down who handles the pressure better. Good chance we'll see a tie break and a lot more pressure on Raonic. The fact that he can't afford to play a poor tie break, because if he loses it, he's out. Match is over. So he's going to have to respond even better than Melzer. And now just 1 point away from taking us to that all-important second set tie break. Yeah, I didn't move for that one at all. So that's exactly where we're going. And the pressure really, if you think about it, firmly on the shoulders of Raonic at this point in time. He can afford to open up his shoulders a little bit more, Jürgen Melzer.
Remember, Melzer has been in a number of tie breaks here. He lost both tie breaks prior to entering this tournament in Memphis, but he needed third set tie breaks in his opening 2 rounds just to move on. 3-1 in this tournament. Meanwhile, Raonic has won his last 6 tie breaks, including both here in Memphis.
Good guess by Melzer. Oh, just handcuffs him. Yeah, that 7-6 in the third victory over Dennis Istomin in the first round by Melzer, and then Ivan Dodig in the second round, 7-6 in the third, and then taking the second set tiebreak against John Isner. So he has fared well in tiebreak situations.
Ultimately on the year 3-3, while Raonic, with those 6 straight tiebreak wins, has a record of 9-2 this year in a 13th game.
Raonic himself has had a couple tiebreaks this week. Don't want to leave him out of the mix. He won a tiebreak in the second set against Ernest Gulbis, having won the first set, and then a tiebreak against Olivier Rochus in the second set.
Remember, he was serving for a set against Rochus, broken at 5-3, needed that tiebreak to move on, and now Melzer showing again, not feeling the pressure, already a set to the good. Nice job backing it up with 2 service holds for 2-1.
He's trying to say, who's your daddy right now? Whoa, that's massive. 142 out wide.
2-all.
88 aces this week.
Yeah, he only cares about this one right now, Kevin. Forget those. It's right now that matters.
Next for service.
And he's just dancing around back there like a heavyweight boxer. Comes in with the heat.
3-2 draw.
No expression whatsoever. I'd be doing handstands out there right now. Nope. Well, Melzer thought for sure it was good. He's got to look at that line.
feels pretty confident. He was heading towards the chair. I believe he thinks he has the ace. Not the same lack of confidence in his previous 2 challenges. He was pretty certain.
Well, he has the best look on that ball because he's serving from the center service line. So when he hits that ball right up the tee, he sees that as well as anybody.
Both players seeking a 4th title. It's Jürgen Melzer who took that opening set, who's that much closer to accomplishing that goal here in Memphis, while Raonic, the 4 seed, trying desperately to hold on and force a decisive set.
Melzer just 4 points away. As far as Raonic is concerned, just 4 points away from extending it. This is where you separate, excuse the pun, the men from the boys.
I'm not sure I can excuse that. Well, I will.
I'm asking you to.
Remember, Raonic needed 3 sets last year to get past Andy Roddick. He's desperately trying to get back to a decisive set again.
Big serve under pressure from the Austrian. He has really stood up tall under pressure. And now the challenge moves to his shoulders.
And correction, just to clarify, it was Roddick winning in 3 sets last year, going the distance against Raonic. Doesn't want to repeat the outcome of last year, but he certainly needs to get to that final frame. And in the position serving at 3-4, that pressure starting to mount once again for the 21-year-old.
Oh, that's a big miss. A wry smile, but boy, that must be painful to miss that one. Doesn't get any easier from that. The response was so short. Now Melzer's getting a look at a second ball again. I think Melzer's going to go for this one. He's got nothing to lose. He's 2 points away. Can open up the shoulders if he can get his racket on it. Yeah, he didn't do enough with it. I think he wanted to try to really hit it, but it just sort of skidded off his racket with all that spin.
Raonic had something to say about it. Got that serve up high into the backhand once again, but for Melzer, no damage done. He got the mini break he needed, and now he has 2 points of serve, and if he wins both, it's career title number 4.
Just missed it. What a big miss again. So 2 missed forehands in this tiebreak have really been his undoing. And now Jürgen Melzer.
Championship point. Jürgen Melzer has played his strategy to perfection once again in Memphis. He took out the top seed John Isner in straight sets, defeated the 3 seed Raonic Stepanek, and now has beaten last year's runner-up and 4 seed Milos Raonic, and he did so in dramatic fashion. A man who had been broken so infrequently this year, well, he got the job done today. The Austrian winning in straight sets. 7-5, 7-6, and you can see the joy that the man from Austria has picked up with his 4th career title.
He earned it. He deserved it. He played better. He figured out a way to get the job done, and he figured out a way to get into the mind of the young 21-year-old. Raonic played a pretty good match, but few critical junctures. 5-all in the opening set. That second set tiebreak, Raonic didn't play his best, and Melzer took advantage. And Melzer was able to hang with him long enough to get to certain critical junctures of the match where Melzer was able to show that under pressure he was able to handle it a little bit better than the 21-year-old was.
Jürgen Melzer hands Milos Raonic just his second loss of the year, and it's time now for the trophy presentation.
Yeah, you know, we talked to Peter Lebedev yesterday, and he did think that Melzer would have an excellent chance to win this if he could return serve the way he'd been returning.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together one more time for a great final match here. Before we bring the players up, I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to the Racket Club staff and all the people that helped put this tournament together, the tournament staff, everybody that gives their time to make this event what it is today. From everybody from our volunteer ushers and our transportation who do an amazing job, to our ball kids who sit back here and have to dodge those serves that are coming through like that. On behalf of the whole tournament staff, I'd like to say thank you and put our hands together for all of those people that make this happen.
That man has come through the ranks, Kevin. He started off at the very lowest spot here in Memphis, and now he's running the tournament.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Reggie Barnes, Managing Director of Morgan Keegan & Company, to present the finalist trophy.
Peter, thank you very much. On behalf of John Carson, our Morgan Keegan CEO, and some 3,000 Morgan Keegan employees, it's been a real honor for us to sponsor this tournament, and it's been a thrill for us to be a part of it for the past 15 years. We want to thank the Racket Club, Peter and his staff, and all the volunteers who have helped us make this a great tournament. It's now my pleasure to present to Melzer Raonic the runner-up trophy, or the finalist trophy.
15-2 on the year. His only losses to Leighton Hewitt at the Australian Open, and today to Jurgen Melzer.
You can't win every week, Milos. I know you won last week and you were runner-up here. You're a great, great competitor, though, and congratulations.
For the second straight year, runner-up after winning San Jose, comes to Memphis one match short.
Milos, great week here. Today you came up against somebody who's hitting the ball very, very well. Tell us what it was like out there.
It wasn't my favorite moments of the week, for sure. No, but congratulations to Jurgen. It was a great final and a great week. He really came through tough in the beginning and then just got better and better by the match. So congratulations to him. Thank you to everybody who came out. This is my second time here, a second great experience, a second great memory for me to have. Thank you to Morgan Keegan as well for the support, and I hope nothing but the best to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for the amazing things they're doing.
Thank you, Milos.
What a class act, huh, Kevin?
Without question.
Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Joji Nicolantonio, Executive Vice President of Regions Financial Corporation, to present the Champions Trophy.
Thank you. As one of this year's title sponsors, Regions is proud that we could help bring this world-class tennis to Memphis. I want to thank Peter and the whole tournament staff for an outstanding tournament, the Sharks Sports and Entertainment Group, all the players, and the great fans here in Memphis, Tennessee. It is my honor on behalf of Regions to present this year's champion of the 2012 Regions Morgan Keegan Championships to Jurgen Melzer.
Jurgen Melzer, the first 30-year-old to win the title here in Memphis since 1991. Yvonne Lendl, champion that year, and the first left-hander to do so since Kenneth Carlson in 2005.
I don't think he'll mind what name they call him as long as they give him the check. Made out to the right name.
2 years ago, they gave Raonic Stefanik the runner-up the winner's trophy.
Now, Jurgen, it kind of started early in the week. You and I kept meeting out here on Stadium Court and having little chats, and today you played unbelievable tennis again. I'm standing up there in the TV booth watching those first games and seeing you return again. It's been an amazing week for you.
Yes, it has been, and who would have thought that coming here Thursday night, breaking a toe and winning the tournament here. I have to be happy like that.
No, I wasn't going to talk about the broken toe, but he tripped falling in the bed when he arrived here that night, so he's had a broken toe all week, so maybe that's a good thing as a tennis player. But tell us about what it meant at the end of the match, that you went up and hugged your trainer and stuff like that. Obviously a very important time for you.
Well, very important time for me, but first of all, I would like to congratulate Milos on a great week, actually on 2 great weeks. As somebody said, you cannot win every week, and I'm happy I pulled it through, but great playing these 2 weeks. And then I would like to thank Regions, Morgan Keegan, and the St. Jude Hospital for supporting this tournament. I mean, without sponsors, this is not possible. and now talking about the nice moment, hugging my coach. We have gone through a hard time last year, having a lot of back problems, and we have been working hard, and this is finally some achievement that we can, we pulled us out of the deep things, and now we have a high, so it's thanks. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Before you leave, we have one more presentation we'd like to give you for winning this year's championship. We'd also like to present you with this wonderful Mednikau timepiece as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you our 2012 Regions Morgan Keegan Championships singles champion, Mr. Jürgen Melzer.
A title well earned. The scalps of the 1, 3, and 4 seeds, including 2 of the biggest servers in the game, Isner and Raonic. And he got through the entire week with a broken toe, and he holds up the trophy on the last day.
And he was wounded, but I'll tell you what, he wounded a lot of the guys he played against. He wounded Isner by returning serve so well against the 6'10" American, and today against the 6'5" Canadian, you just got the sense that Raonic was wounded from 5-all going forward throughout the conclusion of the match.
And the fantastic strategy, Raonic broken a total of 7 times in his first 16 matches, broken twice today by the Austrian, and that was the recipe for success. And don't forget, not the return only, there was the service game. Melzer was almost perfect when needed.
Yeah, he was rock solid and deserving of taking home this title.
So his 4th career title, the Austrian enjoying success in 2006 Bucharest, 2009 and 2010 Vienna in his hometown, and now he has an ATP World Tour 500 title in Memphis, Tennessee. A tremendous culmination to a wonderful week that saw a lot of ups and downs. The seeds weren't too happy this week. 4 of the top 8 ousted in the opening round, including defending champion Andy Roddick, who got the better of Milos Raonic last year. But ultimately, it was the 38th ranked player in the world, Jürgen Melzer, who's making his push back towards the top 20, estimated to arrive at around 22 in the world when the new rankings come out tomorrow. But first things first, rankings, push it aside. Trophy, well, that's what matters most, as another title will be put on the mantelpiece back in Vienna. Well, another tremendous week. The ATP World Tour 500 event in Memphis concludes. Next week, 2 500 events in Dubai and in Acapulco. It'll be a rematch, perhaps, of 1 versus 2 in Dubai, as Djokovic beat Federer last year. They are 1 and 2 in the draw there. And in Acapulco, where Ferrer and Almagro, Ferrer getting the better of Nico last year, they are the 1 and 2 seeds. Coverage of those 2 events coming in the coming week. But for now, we will put the final words on this tournament. For Doug Adler and our entire talented crew here in Memphis, I'm Kevin Skinner saying so long. Once again, the winner, Jürgen Melzer, 2012 Regions Morgan Keegan champion. So the schedule for the remainder of the year at the 11 events of the ATP World Tour 500. Roger Federer getting the best of Juan Martín del Potro in Rotterdam. Jürgen Melzer now champion here in Memphis. We turn our attentions towards Dubai. Can Novak Djokovic defend his title? And in Acapulco, it's up to David Ferrer to try to do the same. Again, that's it for us here in Memphis. It's been a tremendous week. We hope you've enjoyed this coverage of the ATP World Tour. This is Kevin Skinner saying so long from Tennessee.